What is up, people? Welcome to episode 2 of Boba Talk, a podcast where we talk about tech, programming, and everything in between. I'm Sonny.
And I'm Lil.
And today we're joined by Miracle, a recent data science grad from Belmont University in Nashville. I actually met Miracle at WaffleHacks last year when I was starting Codédex, and she was the main organizer and point of contact. And out of the 10 hackathons that we sponsored, WaffleHacks was by far the most organized and most fun that I had. Welcome, Miracle.
Thank you.
Do you want to give a quick intro about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Miracle Awonuga. I am from Antioch, Tennessee, which is 30 minutes southeast from Nashville. I am a first-generation Nigerian American, super proud of my heritage. I recently graduated from Belmont University here in Nashville, Tennessee, with my bachelor's in data science. In fact, I'm the first Black woman to do so in the university's history. Now I am a first-year graduate student at Middle Tennessee State University here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and I'm so honored to be here with you all today.
No, welcome. What
Thank you.
What are you drinking today?
Yes, I have this peach tea from Win Boba Tea. It has mango popping boba.
Ooh.
Poppin' boba again. Nice. What are you drinking, Lil?
I've got this milky strawberry boba tea, which this is a first for me. Never had anything like this. It came with a cap and everything, so I didn't even put my straw in yet. I got to figure out how to do that.
Go ahead.
Oh, wow. That was easy. Milky strawberry tea.
Nice. Last but not least, me. I got the Peach Fairy. We had to do seamless because the nearby boba store closed. So what are you up to these days? You just graduated. How's summer going?
Yeah, summer has been filled with a lot of transitions, a lot of learning about how to transition from post-college to, I want to say, regular life. So just learning and growing from those experiences, figuring out next steps after grad school as well, thinking about that as well. And just trying to fill my time with catching up with friends before we get back into the grind of the school year. And yeah, just transitioning out.
That's what's up. Adulting.
Yeah.
By the way, Miracle, let's talk about your origin story. How did you get into data science / computer science? Walk us through your coding journey.
Yeah. So it all started in 8th grade, middle school for me. My school just started offering computer science classes, and I was taking our intro to computer science class. I had the most phenomenal teacher. Shout out to Ms. Arth. She just made coding so interesting. And as we went along, I just became so fascinated with the concept of building things with just a couple of lines of code and just executing it, and just blew my mind. But what really got me was Ms. Arth. She was very adamant about making sure the girls in our class got involved within the field since there was so much disparity. But yeah, what really pushed me to really get into the field was one day, Ms. Arth, she passed out an article about how there weren't many female technologists. And for me, I like to push the boundaries. So I was like, all right, I need to be the change. I need to get into this. So that's how I got into computer science. I took intro to AP Computer Science, AP Computer Science Principles, the usual preparatory courses. And then I took a brief hiatus from computer science for a little bit. I had transferred into a middle college program, which is basically a dual enrollment program where I take high school and college classes. So I kind of took a hiatus. The only coding I was doing really at the time was I was leading an after-school program for girls to learn how to code. Unfortunately, that got cut short because of COVID. But that was the little I was doing with coding during that time. And then freshman year, I entered Belmont as a computer science major primarily. So I was doing, the normal CS major kid things, taking those classes, getting involved. But then my spring semester of my freshman year, I realized very quickly that computer science really wasn't for me because I felt it felt like it stinted my creativity, and I had cried over too many programming one test. So I was like, I don't think this is where I need to be. This is not where I need to be for right now. So I was like, all right, what do I want to do? Because I still believed in tech. And so there's this voice inside of me that was like, consider data science. So I did some research on a Friday night, and then that research kind of clicked within me because at the time I was doing some data work for our study away office, building databases for them. And I really enjoyed that. And then that brought me back even further to my interests with marketing and social media analytics. All the dots just connected, and I was just like, boom, data science is where I need to be. The following week, I changed my major and the rest is history.
Oh, snap. What year was this?
This was my freshman year. So sophomore year, I started as a data science major.
Nice.
Wow.
And to all the listeners, if they are not too familiar with data science, what is data science and what do you do? Just like kind of like lay terms. And then we'll dig in a little bit later on.
Yeah, sure. So my definition of data science, because you can ask many data scientists and they'll give you different answers, is essentially the science of data. Our field really focuses on what makes data important and provides guidance on how to use it within day-to-day life. It's in the intersection of math, statistics, computer science, artificial intelligence, and so much more. And there's so many things you can do within data science. You could be an analyst where you're understanding why data is important, how to provide insights. You could be a data scientist at the core of the field, trying to identify the different questions you're going to be answering with data, or you can be a data architect who lays down the law with data and provides guidance on how to use it ethically and effectively.
So what about you? Which one are you trying to go for?
I think I'm kind of in between data analyst and data scientist. I love just digging into the questions, figuring out what questions we need to answer within data science, but I also like analyzing data and figuring out the insights and figuring out why things matter and why we should pay attention to them.
You mentioned that computer science didn't fulfill you, and that's why you had transitioned into data science your sophomore year in college. You also mentioned that you found more of a creative angle with data science as opposed to computer science. So I'm just wondering, what does creativity in data science mean to you, and maybe like what does that look like?
Yeah, for sure. So creativity in data science to me looks like thinking outside the box. I strongly believe that data science is an avant-garde practice, which means two different things. One, being very experimental with our work. Data science is still a relatively new field within our society, so that presents the opportunity to take the time and craft something worth paying attention to. And then the second thing is not being afraid of intersectionality. This goes hand in hand with the first point that I made. Data science is so compatible with so many different fields, and it's such a shame that most people limited it to uses within healthcare or technology or more practical fields. So for me, I always like to think, how are we positively applying data science concepts to places like the arts or environmental studies, asking those questions that are necessary, that challenges us to think critically about our current approaches to the field and how we can use them to advance and create innovative change.
I love that. Yeah, this is something that people don't really know. I mean, like you said, it's a relatively new field, mostly because the surgence of like big data, right? A lot of startups, a lot of tech companies have just ton of users, ton of data around the users. So they need these data analysts, data scientists to come in and analyze the data, find hypotheses, find insights, and make decisions based on those data. Wait, just so the learners know, Miracle actually wrote a data science project tutorial on Codédex called Visualize YouTube Data with Plotly. Okay. And you should definitely check out. It's pretty beginner friendly. But Miracle, like for somebody who is interested in data science, what are some of the steps they need to take? Like what are some resources or languages that they should learn to, get a taste of data science?
Yeah, for sure. So the most beginner friendly language within data science is Python. That's the industry standard. Wherever you go, 9 times out of 10, you're using Python. It's a very, very easy language to learn. I remember learning it after coming out of a hiatus from coding and things like that. And I was able to get it instantly. So really take the time to really learn Python. If you're more interested within the research side of data science, highly recommend using R. That's really common within the research area. And then some other languages that we use most commonly are SQL as well as Apache, PHP, but really focus in on Python first so that you can build up to those more advanced languages.
What languages are you learning now in your grad school?
Yeah, so I'm still using Python right now, just learning more about the advanced parts of a Python right now.
Yeah, I feel like R is kind of popular in academia too. So you might see some of that over the next 2 years.
Yeah, my sister, who is about to wrap up her PhD, is using R, and she's political science.
Okay.
So she's used mostly R in all of her work.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I briefly used R my sophomore year. My second semester, I used R to create a predictive model to predict test scores within underrepresented populations. So I looked at Black students, female students, as well as English as second language learners. And I created a predictive model to predict which populations have, I think, either higher or lower test scores within that. So an example of using R within that academia realm.
Miracle, I want to touch a point. So you know how you said you're unsure about computer science, you're given a lot of headaches, right, with a test. What specifically are we talking about there? Were they just like, was the class too hard? Was it too dry? Was it the professors? Was it just the curriculum? What was it exactly?
I think for me, it was just there wasn't really too much innovation. I'm a very innovative learner, very creative. And for me, I didn't really get a lot of that within my classes in computer science, because for me, if I am not able to see an unconventional way of using something, that I won't really care too much. That sounds really bad, but I won't really care too much about it and try to understand it, because I need to be able to understand things in unconventional ways. Because again, with computer science and data science, we want to be able to create innovative, out of this world things. And if I'm not being able to experience that while I'm learning, then it won't really stick for me.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, is like, if you're not interested in it, you're not going to be fully committed, right? And do your best work at that. You mentioned a lot of innovation around what you do. In undergrad, you said you had studied intersectionality of tech, education policy, and digital media. That seems like there's a boatload of innovation in that area. Can you elaborate on what that looked like? What kind of work you accomplished studying all of those areas simultaneously?
So in sum, this intersectionality really helped me develop my storytelling skills, which is very important within data science. I was able to learn how to tell stories in different contexts. And I found this very valuable because not every problem is going to be the same. So being able to have that confidence to sort through the details, identify key points, and understanding why things matter, I'm able to create innovative and effective solutions that improve the lives of the populations that I will be serving. My most notable work within this intersectionality was my senior project, Ode to be a Scholar, where I developed an interactive data science research exhibit answering the question, does the type of school you attend affect your ability to be a college-bound scholar? And within that, I was able to incorporate all these disciplines into one project, which was really important for me because it gave me the opportunity to tie in my life, my lived experiences, as well as my work as an academic, and as well as my passions, and show me that they can coexist in a positive way, which is something I'm a huge advocate for.
I love that. Yeah, that's when you really hit the spot, is when like you actually use whatever you're interested in your, day-to-day work, like data science, right? And there's so many ways to sort of merge the two. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
By the way, how many people are in your department, in the data science department? I assume it's not that big.
So our data science program actually founded in 2019. And when I was into the major, I think there was around less than 20 data science majors at Belmont. Yeah. And I think after I left, there was up to 100 with our department. And then over at MTSU, it's much bigger because I think it's one thing I want to mention. Belmont is a private university versus MTSU being a public university. So different student population. So it makes sense that MTSU might be a bit bigger than Belmont because, again, it's such a larger school. So
I do want to add to this point. I think data science is actually a great way to, get yourself into the door of tech, right? Yes. And it does have a pretty high ceiling to it. There's a lot of things to learn too. Like you can start with data analyst, but you can also pick up some, analysis, visualizations, and then get into a little bit more statistics side of things, machine learning, AI. So it does go pretty deep. And I highly encourage a lot of people who are not interested in building web apps, mobile apps, to also take a look at data science and, build a visualization of your favorite game, of COVID dashboard, different stats that you can find online on Kaggle. That's a great site, www.kaggle.com, where you can find a bunch of public data sets. Yeah, highly recommend people to check that out.
Yeah. And also, I'm nowhere near as a data scientist or person, but working in tech the past 8 years, I've definitely applied data science. So I learned SQL for my job because I was working in community at Code Academy. I was working on the forums and they had a built in analytics SQL runner. And so I would just like ask questions, like not even look at the data yet, just formalized questions that I wanted to know about the data in the community, and then pair up with a data scientist in the company, run these queries, and then understand what the community was doing. So that is like one of the parts where I found data science to be really creative, is just like you can just ask whatever question, and if it's possible to get there.
I think the moment where I realized that data science can be just like, you could just use it for anything. My intro to data visualization last year for WaffleHacks, I literally put together a data set for one of my favorite girl groups, Little Mix, and we just looked at their different records, their different singles, and how they chart in the UK. So just being able to see like, hey, like this is such a casual thing, and just being able to understand it in a comprehensive way is so cool. And I don't think you could do that with anything else besides data science.
Right.
100%. No, I love that project.
Yeah.
By the way, this is a perfect segue to talk about WaffleHacks.
Yes.
So this is where we met. Do you want to give the listener one-liner about what WaffleHacks is and also how you got involved with it?
Yeah, I love telling the origin story of WaffleHacks. It's one of my favorite things. And it's actually my job while I was working with WaffleHacks. So WaffleHacks is a virtual student-led and student-organized virtual hackathon working to bring technical solutions to your local areas. I was first lead of our external affairs team, our founding season, and I served as the co-director of our people and communications team for the past 2 seasons. And what my job was in summary was fostering those relationships with our sponsors, partners, and anyone else interested in our community. And our origin story starts back in 2020. Our founding team was part of Google's computer science camp for incoming freshmen. And a group of us, we were doing hackathons during shutdown. And someone in our Discord server, they were like, what if we started our own hackathon? And a group of us, myself included, took that very seriously. The whole project was really intriguing to me because, fun fact, I had never heard of a hackathon up until that point. So I was just like going into this with no knowledge whatsoever, but I love a good challenge. I like learning about new things. So I took a chance and joined the founding team. And from there, it was history. Our founding event, WaffleHacks 2021, we had 500 people join us. And ever since then, we've had 2,000 hackers join us every summer internationally.
Whoa.
Wow.
How were you able to grow to 2,000 hackers?
Yeah, I think honestly, it's just a whole team effort. I'm very, very proud of the team over at WaffleHacks. We are always utilizing our networks as well as our skills to ensure that we're contributing to the overall growth of our hackathon because our message is very important. We want to show that no matter who you are, you have the ability to be an agent of change in your community. And we believe in that so much that we wanted to get anyone and everyone involved so they can understand that, and then they can go out into their communities and change something they don't like and make something positive out of their situation.
Wow. That was a very powerful, Miracle.
How does that play out in your life? What is something that you may be working on that you're trying to push forward change in your community?
Yeah, I think for me right now, my focus is on how to get more students involved with data because data science is such a new field. And most people who go into college, I remember I was talking to my department chair over the summer before my senior year. And we were talking about how most people, they don't even know about data science. So they come in as a computer science major and then they learn about data science and they switch over. And that really sat with me. And I want to be able to show people this opportunity because most people, they only know about computer science when they are in school. There's no like AP tests for data science. There's no curriculum for that yet. So being able to go out into community, use my experiences and tell others about data science so they can have that option just as soon as they get to college, if that's a choice they want to make.
Okay. Well, for all the listeners, go take some data science class in college and check it out. It's like, why not? Like see if it's your thing.
Yeah.
You mentioned one of the advisors or chairs that you met with. Is this the mentor that you had worked with in your undergrad, the director of data science at Belmont? Or
Yes.
was this someone different? It was the same person.
So our department chair, he was the one I was talking to, but like my main person, really love talking about her. Our director of data science over at Belmont, Dr. Davis, shout out to her, so much love for her. She was the one who really encouraged me to take data science seriously.
I noticed, when we were learning about your story previously, you talk a lot about your support system and how they have really supported you throughout your undergrad and even before that and now. Can you tell us more about how you built these relationships and why they're so important and how you would encourage others to nurture their support systems?
I can share two different examples within this, but just mainly how I just build these relationships. I just go up and talk to people and be present. Two examples
She's an extrovert, everybody.
Actually, fun fact, I'm actually an introvert. I'm very much an introvert too. Yeah, it's a contrary belief. It's a contrary belief. I'm an introvert, which is wild because I do a lot of like public speaking and I'm very comfortable with it. But like after it, I am like lying to the door, like I'm out, I'm done.
That's funny too.
Same. That's me right there.
Yeah, but honestly, all the best relationships I've had, whether it be friends or mentors, things like that, all just started with me striking up a conversation and just being present. Two quick examples of this. First, my relationship with our director of data science over at Belmont, Dr. Davis. Again, much love to her. I remember when I first found out that she was taking over in our program, I went up to her in her office and I literally said, "Hey, I'm someone you need to know. You're someone I need to know. So what's up? Let's talk." And ever since then, we've been inseparable. She's one of the most important people in my life at the moment. A second example of this, my undergraduate advisor, Dr. Brad Slavin. I literally, and I wish I was lying, literally every other day during my sophomore year, I would just go into his office for an hour and talk to him about either everything or nothing. And through that, he was able to learn more about my interests, about me. And so now, whenever I need something, he's the first person that I go to because I know he got me with it. I know he got me with anything that I need. So yeah, honestly, those two, I can go on and on. But most importantly, I really value taking the time to build and nurture those relationships because, to be very honest, you don't know everything. That's merely impossible. However, you can know a little bit more than you know already by talking to others. And also, it's very nice to have someone you can trust to celebrate you, to cry with you, laugh with you, and advise you because it lets you know that you're not alone. So to anyone listening, I honestly just encourage you, just go up and talk to people. You never know where that conversation can go.
100%. I think it's so valuable to have, a couple of mentors on your side, whether it's advisors, teachers, or even just upperclassmen, people who are just a few steps ahead of you. That's great too. It comes a long way because you can't do everything yourself.
Yeah. And even if you don't initially go into meeting someone and be like, I want them to be my mentor, it's just good to like keep that line of communication open that, should you develop a better relationship with this person, they could be really valuable to you, not to sound transactional. It's not about that, but it is a give and take any relationship, right? So, some days it's just like, let's have coffee and shoot the shit. And then other times it's like, I had this awesome opportunity that I heard about and I think you'd be great for it, right? So it's kind of like anything that could really happen from a relationship. Like one of my good friends connected me with the job to my first job in tech. So that was such an open door for me. And I was like, wow, this is what's kicking off my career. So you never know like where things can lead in relationships.
Yeah, for me, honestly, I don't even go into most of these relationships seeking out a mentor. Like, I just think they're just a really cool person and I just like hang out with them. Like literally, like with Dr. Davis, like literally everyone knows like, where's Miracle 9 a.m. on a Tuesday? She's in Dr. Davis's office talking, just having a good time. Like without feel like that's where I'm at.
No, I was just saying that. Like, I almost wish I heard what you said when I was 18 because I was in college for 6 years total, undergrad. I saw my advisor probably once, and we talked about almost nothing, just like changing classes, right? I was so shy. I was so, I had such big imposter syndrome. I never went to a hackathon once in undergrad. Never talked to anybody in my classrooms, right? And so many of these people work in tech now. And if I could, one advice for an 18-year-old, 19-year-old currently in college, a CS major or data science major, would be that, meet with people, go to study groups, go to the library, hang out with your classmates. I'll love to go back in time and change that. Yeah. So what are some of the challenges that you face over the last few years? For a lot of listeners for this podcast right now, it's a back to school edition. They're entering computer science, entering data science. They're in their first year, second year, or even considering the major. What are some advice you will give other than talking to people, like study tips, little hacks, anything you want to share?
I think my main piece of advice is just ask questions. Yeah, just be curious about things. This sounds very cliche. Everyone, and mom, uncle, everyone says it, but go to office hours. Go to office hours if you're able to. If not, utilize your email. Ask your professors things. They are intentionally there for you. They were like, yes, I want to be in front of students 24/7. And they can't do their job unless if you're willing to interact with them. So make sure you go to office hours. Ask them questions either through email or after class or whatnot. Ask them about the course. Ask them about homework.
Totally. I don't know if you know this. I taught Java for 2 years in a college in Bronx called Lehman College. And I will take the train up, 40 minutes, 50 minutes to host these office hours. And a lot of times nobody shows up. So I just sit in this tiny little office, just like, okay, why am I even here? I love if a student comes in, asks me, hey, I'm confused about loops. Hey, I'm confused about functions or class and objects. I love to just walk through them for like 20 minutes. So go to office hours, people.
Yeah, I never went to office hours either. I think too, there's probably a misconception that you have to show up and ask really good questions to make it worth the professor's time in office hours. But I think, Miracle, you touched on this, is just go and chat with them. Sonny said, I would love it if somebody showed up and asked about classes and objects, or maybe it's just show up and be like, I'm really confused about my computer science schooling. I might want to transfer to data science. What do you think about that? So it's people, professors, adjuncts, they have experience, right? That you don't yet have. Go ask them questions, explore.
Yeah, touch on that. Again, literally, I will just go to office hours with my professors and I'll just ask them stuff for just ask them things. I remember with the last office hours I had with Dr. Davis, I went in, didn't ask her about anything else. I was like, what is your hottest take? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about your morals and everything like that. Just had we just sat for an hour and a half and had a really deep conversation. So things like that, it doesn't have to be about anything. Just ask about them, because at the end of the day, if you don't get anything else, you got to connect with another person. And I think that's very valuable, especially now. So just go for it.
Cool.
I had a question, kind of how you are so involved with so much in your daily life. You attend classes, you're in student organizations, you're co-director of communications with WaffleHacks, you connect with your friends and family. That's just a lot for a student, right? And you're also in your early 20s, presumably, and you're figuring life out. How do you stay inspirationally and mentally aligned?
Yeah, so I can answer this in two parts. The practical answer is my holy quad. That's what I like to call it. It's my Google Calendar, my reminders app, my whiteboard, and good notes. My motto is, if it's not written, then it doesn't exist. And I try to make the effort to write things down, because as you go along into your early 20s and being an adult just in general, if you're forgetful, it costs you. Whether it be time, money, or whatnot, it will cost you. So making sure I have it written down, always try to have something written down in at least 2 places, so then I don't have an excuse. We're oh, I didn't see it. But my more philosophical answer is just, I've taken the time to really understand what my priorities are. And for me, I value improving the world and just being very conscious of how I make other people feel. And I want to make sure that my community is the best place to be when it comes to thriving. And I want to make sure people feel important. So these two concepts really guide me into my daily life and really helps me understand what really matters and how to act on them. And then it also helps to have a very good village of people who support you and make sure that you're staying aligned. Shout out to my community at home. Love y'all. Thank y'all. Without them, honestly, I don't know where I'd be, because they keep me aligned, they keep me focused, help me understand what really matters to me. So in addition to all of the things that I said before, having a really good village of people to really keep you grounded is very important.
Cool. Yeah, what I heard is you stay mentally aligned by writing everything down and keeping pretty tidy and organized. You have your community for inspiration and your purpose for inspiration. It's kind of just you are very clear in how to stay aligned, and that's really admirable.
How do people find you, Miracle?
Yeah, the best place to find me is LinkedIn, about those big boy connections. It's just my name, Miracle Awonuga. I would love to connect with all of you if you want. Right now I'm posting a lot about my journey within grad school and just figuring things out. So if you wanna join in on that, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd love to have you in my little network.
And we're out. I'm Sonny.
And I'm Lil.
And see you next time. Happy coding, y'all.
Thanks, Miracle.